Hey, everybody. You have found your way to two EdTech guys, take questions and share cool stuff. And even before the next slide, which is a reminder for me to start the captions, I'm going to start the captions. How good is he? All right. So at any rate, we are jazzed to have you. Oh, check it out. Evidence that I was speaking the truth. And then we are happy and thankful that you are with us because it is good fun to get together with people who are curious about different things that tech can do. Some people are like, oh, techie, blah, blah, blah. Tech is just a vehicle for looking at new and cool possibilities. And small little bits of tech, if it gets a kid excited about the future, some kind of path that they hadn't seen before, that's awesome. So that's how we see the world. So we want to thank the good folks at the Kraft Center for Innovation at Foothill College, right? All you guys in Merit, especially my Merit 20 group, woo, good to have you there, right? We want to thank all of the good people who are, of course, like in the room, who make free tech for teachers happen. Real quick, how would you describe free tech for teachers to someone who's been, like under a rock and doesn't know about it?
I describe it as a little blog that I started 13 years ago to share some cool free tools that I was finding on the web. And, 13 years later, I keep writing about cool things I'm finding and writing about and trying in my classroom. That's it.
And that is a perfectly good explanation of what it is. And for those of you who don't know, loads of good ideas. I mean, loads of good ideas. So if you haven't checked out Free Tech 4, number 4, teachers.com, please do so. Go ahead and stick that link in the chat because there may be someone in the room who's like, you keep talking about it. I've never been there. Well, now's the time. All right, so go ahead and go. And Next Vista for Learning. What's that, you ask? Well, it is a library of videos by and for teachers and students everywhere, free to use, free to contribute to, free to download from, all for a student audience, all for all screen content, my own little attempt to save the universe from ignorance, one creative video at a time. Thank you so much. And if you didn't know, later today, we'll be doing another episode of activities across grade levels. All right, Susan Stewart, at Tech Coach Susan, amazing lady that she is, and I do a webinar on Thursdays, another webinar on Thursdays, which is dedicated to talking about online learning for folks who've been more into traditional teaching and different possibilities at different grade levels for a given tool or a given idea or whatever it may be. So we hope to see you at that one as well. All right, so how's this going to work today? We are going to explore some questions, share some cool stuff, just like the title goes. So get us started, Richard. What is our first question for today?
Oh, our first question of the day is a doozy, Rushton.
Bring on the doozy.
It is from Karen, who is writing, and I've stripped out any identifying information beyond Karen for her own protection as well as ours. I'm writing to you because I know you've done a lot of work educating people on using free images. My question is somewhat different, but I hope you can help. The media specialist at my school feels that it is okay to use images that have watermarks on them in her school news videos under educational fair use copyright guidelines because they're not being used to make a profit, nor are the images being distorted or changed. Never mind the fact that they should be using images from sites that have copyright-free images for educational use. Is she correct in her reasoning that she can use any picture, including ones with watermarks, under the educational fair use copyright guidelines? So I was so glad to start my week with this because this is truly a topic that I get all fired up about. As anyone who has followed my blog for a while knows, I've been battling with copyright violators for a decade plus now. My response, disclaimer, I am not an intellectual property lawyer, but I did go to school with one. One of my best friends from college is one. Anyway, I wrote back, your media specialist is absolutely wrong. And here's why. There's a few reasons why your media specialist is wrong. Number one, just saying it's for education does not make it fair use. There's some other standards to prove that it's fair use. One of them being that not only are you not using it for profit, but you're not taking away from someone else, from the artist's ability to make a profit from their work. When you see a copyright or a watermark on the image, it's because that person doesn't want you to use it without paying them the royalty to use it. And if you use it without paying them the royalty, you've taken away from their ability to earn an income from it. So that's not fair use. Also, there's a standard that there has to be nothing else similar that can accomplish the same purpose. That's why you could use a picture of a Picasso painting in your art class and explain to your class, Picasso used such and such technique and da 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 da. You can use, and that's a fair use because there's no other Picassos out there, right? There's that one that you're explaining. But you just want to have a picture of a sunny, beautiful day in your video for your school newsletter. There's about a bajillion of those that are in the public domain or Creative Commons that you could use that don't have a watermark on them, and you won't be violating anyone's copyright or infringing on them. So those are two standards that are not being met by your media specialist explanation. There are other standards that you could apply, but those are the two that jump out. What say you, Rushton? Because you've got some stuff on this too.
So first of all, I'm with you. All right, and the thing, that second standard that you discussed about the presence of other things. Let's kind of look at just the basic idea. What if you want to use something that is copyrighted? All right, so what might that be? All right, well, there's only one logo for McDonald's, so I need to use the McDonald's logo. You're probably in pretty good shape there, but why not just get a picture of a McDonald's that somebody took and put in Creative Commons licensing? I mean, just why not, right? And that leads me to say that whatever it is you want a picture of, if you are thinking not too narrowly about it, the chances are really good that there are plenty of things out there that will suffice. And it is actually your job to model this for the kids, right? Because what are we trying to do? Create an economy around intellectual property law? I hope not. So if instead you say, okay, well, but hasn't anybody gathered some of the stuff that you might want to use that's easy to use, a point of departure? Oh, well, how good of you to ask. There is the sources and citations page for any Next Vista contest. This one is from Service Via Video, where we ask kids to make videos about people and organizations in their community who do right by others. And in the navigation on the right, sources and citations. So here we go. We got footage, we got images, we got music, we got sound effects. And here are the citations we asked. Oh, wait, that's actually a lot simpler than I thought. I think of those MLA citations and they're really intense. Yeah, and those are perfectly good to do for your college research paper, right? But if what you're doing is actually just making sure you meet legal guidelines related to, say, Creative Commons licensed material, or material that's made available for free even without citation, but you have to model it because you're a teacher, then here you go, right? What's the title of this work? Annie Oakley. Who put it together? Thomas Edison Company, right? What is the nature of the license? It's public domain. Where did you get it? Internet Archive. Oh, all right. So, and if you're providing links back to these as well, I mean, it's not hard to do. It's just not. You just have to learn some basics for doing it. And I'll add some Creative Commons video tutorials that I put together as well. I'm guessing that Richard has put some good tutorials together for this as well. But there are so many good options. And one of the ones that just got posted to the chat is photos for class, right? That how to use that well is a function of how old are your students? What should they be able to do? Things like that. But definitely you're going to find that there are a lot of good things out there that you can use in order to make all this work.
Yeah.
All right.
And I will say that there are a lot of nuances to this. So keep that in mind. There's a lot of nuances to copyright, but in general, if there's a big watermark on it, it's because the person doesn't want you using it in any context without paying them a royalty or a license to use it.
Right. Right.
My friend Beth Holland and I did a webinar that went into all manner of those nuances a couple of years ago. And I put a link to that recording in the chat for anyone who really wants to get into the nuance of copyright. Also, YouTube in their help guides, basically YouTube help guides, has a lot of explanations of like what music can you use and how can you or can't you sample music or use music in videos without violating copyright. So there's some good stuff in the YouTube help pages that you might want to check out as well. All right.
Take us to that next question.
Yeah, we spent a lot of time on copyright there.
We did.
Yeah. All right. So Brian, our pal Brian, asked us, we have a foundation. What?
I said friend of the webinar.
Oh, friend of the webinar. Sorry. For some reason, my phone buzzed at the same time that you started talking. So I, should have silenced my phone. Let's get back to Brian. Brian says, we have a foundation at our school and they will fund a teacher project up to $10,000 in the fall semester. I'm wondering if you go online and purchase some type of subscription or platform to use virtually with your kids, what would be on your wish list? Brian, and got to tell you, that's a really broad question. And well, let's start with Rushton because he had a better answer than I did.
So there is the question itself. What does Brian do with the potentially $10,000 that are available to Brian, right? Got it. And then there is a different question, which is all of you who are out there who are like, there isn't like 10 grand available to me. What do I do? So I actually have an answer for everybody else, not Brian. Sorry, Brian. And the everybody else question or answer kind of comes down to this: service clubs. All right, so there are a lot of service clubs. When you are driving into a town in North America, you see these little signs, right? Rotary, Kiwanis, Soroptimist, Lions, just where they meet and what time each week and blah, 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 right? There are a lot of service clubs out there. These are clubs that want to make good things happen in their communities. And remarkably few teachers understand that these folks are out there. So for example, this is the homepage for Rotary.org. I am a member of Rotary International. I belong to the Rotary E-Club of Silicon Valley. The flexibility and online asynchronous nature of the club is really useful, right? To my schedule. But more to the point, what we have here is the opportunity to find where a club might be near you. That would be near Club Finder. Like you click on that link and then you come into here and you say, okay, well, here's my address, right? Club name, filter by meeting location, for example. Hey, Richard, what's your town name or the nearby town?
Put in South Paris, Maine.
South Paris, Maine. There it is right there. So I do that. And I just say search, and let's see if that's all I need to do to make it happen. Turns out that there is the Oxford Hills, Maine, United States Rotary Club. All right, so that is the one close by club for you, right? But they're there, and they meet Wednesday mornings at 7:30, right? As it turns out, you're like, I could never make it there. I teach at that time. The point being, where they meet. Reach out, call them, see if you can get somebody on the line because they might be very willing to help you make something happen in your community. So Brian, I totally tangented your question, but I hope that was useful to a lot of folks who are wondering that. How about you, Richard? How do you think about Brian's question?
So my response, my reply to Brian was, what do you want kids to do? Right. I can think of a lot of ways to burn through $10,000 really quickly.
Yep.
That are educational, right? Like besides just going out and having a good time, taking the family out to Disney World, I can think of some good ways to spend $10,000. But it depends on what I want my kids to do. In my computer science classes, right? For example, I would love if I had $10,000. I'd probably spend a good chunk of it on acquiring new servers that we could actually run and control in my back closet. That's me, because that's what my students kind of need right now, because my students want to deploy their own PHP programs and stuff like that. So, that's what I do, but it all depends on what you want your kids to do. So quick question.
Is $10,000 enough to get a family into Disney World? Will that actually handle the parking? I mean, like,
I don't know.
you know,
I don't know. I actually have no desire to go to Disney World.
I
However, I have two daughters who love Mickey Mouse. So
therefore,
there is probably a trip to Disney World in the future. And friend of yours, friend of mine, friend of ours, Adam Bello,
oh,
who lives in New York City,
yes,
has a season pass to Disney World.
he does. And
That's
he
how
can
much
speak
they like
about
to
it.
go.
He can speak about it with poetic passion and detail. And because Adam is this awesome guy. Okay, there you go. Which brings us to something really cool. As we were talking about the cool guy Adam. Richard, talk to us about your quick share for this week.
All right, my quick share is an old share with an update.
Oh,
So I wrote about it. I'm not sure if I published a blog post or not yet, but I wrote about it this week. It's something I started doing in my class last week. I'm using the Poll Everywhere add-on for Google Slides to do what I'm just calling a mood cloud with my students, because I have a hybrid environment now. So I've had, in the 8 weeks that we've had school, I have had 100% in-class kids. I've had 100% online classes, and I've had 50-50 classes. For the last couple of weeks, we've been 50-50 all the time. So I've been doing just these little Poll Everywhere word clouds with the Google Slides add-on, just to get a sense of, like, how do you feel? Just, that's it. How did you feel on Tuesday? I said, how did you feel about the long weekend? Give me one word. How did you feel about the long weekend? Right? Or how do you feel after the long weekend? Can't remember exactly how I phrased it, but that was the intent of it. How do you feel after the long weekend? And I'm doing it because I've got one particular group of students who I think would not say fire if the room was on fire. So, I'm getting, and then you put them in the Zoom, you put those kids in a Zoom, and you just like, right. So I started doing that. It's mood cloud. I love it. That's a great little tool. You could, and there are others out there that'll like it. By the way, if you're a PowerPoint user, Poll Everywhere has a PowerPoint plugin or PowerPoint add-in as well. And you can just use or you just go to the website and use it yourself. So that's my cool share, quick share. Again, old tool. It's been around for, 10, 12, 13 years. I think I first saw Alan November use it like in 2005 or something.
nice.
It's been around a long time, but it works really well.
Yeah, he's been a fixture on the EdTech scene for a long time, and for good reason. It's got good things to share. He tends to berate his audience, but that's part of who he is, and all good. He's good people. Speaking of
That's
good
the
people,
Northern New Englander in him.
could be that Boston thing. All right.
Yeah, I do the same thing.
Pat, by the way, noted that her husband and she get annual passes every odd numbered year. We can drive it in 8 hours, so we can go 10 times a year. Style points for that. That's some dedication to some Disney right there. Rock and roll.
Want to take my kids?
there's got to be a savings for you that comes from having Pat take your kids to Disney World, I'm thinking. That's a good question. Oh, questions. What other questions do we have for what we got going now? Ooh, did you freeze? You kind of froze. All right. So Richard, talk to me. Are you there?
Yeah, it got really slow. Can you hear me?
I can. Go ahead and hit the next question. Oops.
All right, good. Next question. We got a little destroy there for a second. So on our Chromebooks, there are apps that were globally installed by the person who had this job before me. They are old apps. Since they were installed through Google Admin, presumably they cannot be uninstalled individually. It must be uninstalled through Google Admin. I can delete some, but some don't show up on admin. Any ideas on how to delete them? So, to be honest, when I first read the question, I read it slightly differently, Sheila, but let me screen share. You probably have already tried this, but let me screen share and oh, there we go. Now I can screen share. Make sure I screen share the right thing. There we go. There's so many options. Okay. So you've probably already seen this, Sheila, and folks who are at home. You can go into your apps and your admin panel, and it's going to be one of your marketplace apps that are in there. And by the way, for any admin out there, it's a good idea to go in and look here from time to time. So is there something in there that we're not using anymore or that is out of business? Like I just went in today and noticed, oh, Stupaflix, yeah, they're out of business. So maybe we revoke access for that one, right? Or just delete it entirely. Okay. So can do that. Now on the Chromebook itself, let me stop sharing there. Now on the Chromebook itself, you may need to, oh, it shows that that's one of them, but it's not showing up there. So it's not showing up in your admin panel at all. That is bizarre. I would say you may need to wipe the Chromebook themselves individually.
Nasty piece of news there. Sorry, Sheila. She tosses an UG into the chat, which we all understand. Everybody, your job is now to send good vibes her way.
Yeah, so Sheila, the other thing you could try, and to be honest with you, I haven't done a lot of device management with Chromebooks in a while, so I don't know if this is still a function or not. I'm kind of going to say, thankfully, my job is not to manage the Chromebooks in our school anymore. But you may be able to do a system-wide wipe of them, but doing that in the middle of the school year might introduce a whole lot of other issues as well.
So Richard, that was tough enough news that I think the next move is to go straight to a really good piece of news there.
Go to something that's more fun.
Oh my God. All right. So as longtime readers of my newsletter, my monthly newsletter know, I love to share a good video. And man, the set of videos I shared in October, woo, oh God, fantastic ones, including this one. This is a promo for the 2016 Paralympics. And it's just so ridiculously cool. I'm not going to play this because of what happens with YouTube, right? But it starts, and again, all of these folks who have, some particular physical challenge. This guy doesn't happen to have arms, but he's an incredible drummer. And it starts and it goes in, and you see all these athletes doing these different things, and it is incredible. These people are superhuman. And if you need something that allows you to say, that makes me a far happier person to this day, then you can just click on that in the chat. Watch it later. We got loads of good things to say, but or at least we believe we do. But oh my goodness, the Yes I Can 2016 Paralympics promo will make your week. Thank you very much. Judith mentioned also another video that I shared in the October one about this crowd. Actually, as it turns out, I'm wearing the shirt. Magic wheelchair. All right. Have a tissue close by and just know that the world is a far better place than you might imagine. I'll just say that. All right. Let's see if we can get another question or two in before we wind things down.
All right. And I follow up to Rushton's thing. I put in a link to a Netflix series, Rising Phoenix, about Paralympians. Check that out. I know, I shouldn't say we're friends, but I know one of the people who is profiled in there. So check that out as well. Right. All right. So let's go to another question from Sheila, where I do have better news for you, Sheila. So we need an auto tracking camera for hybrid learning, a camera that will follow the teacher while she walks around, and with a price that's not prohibitive. Thank you. So Swivel, pretty darn pricey, right? Cool system, but pretty darn pricey. The last time I looked, it was like almost $1,000 for a setup. Is that right?
That's what I have seen, and that,
Yeah,
that almost surely doesn't bust the budget price
yeah,
fixture.
no, that's crazy pricey. So this is not a tracker. This is not going to track you, but this is what I'm going to be doing probably next week in my classroom if I get there, maybe 2 weeks from now. I've got fortunately I've got a bunch of laptops in my program, but I'm just going to set up with two, and I'm going to use OBS Project, which is freemium software. So again, you can do some stuff for free and reasonably priced upgrades to do more stuff. What I'm going to do is just set up a couple of webcams strategically around my workspace. So next week we're doing some more PC repair stuff, and I'm just going to position my webcams around and use OBS Recorder to have all those stream together on one screen. So the downside to doing that is it's not quite as plug and play as Swivel. Like Swivel is great because you can give anybody the thing, the lanyard tracker, and they can wear it, put it on, and away they go for the most part, right? OBS Broadcaster, it's going to take a little bit more setup from your end, probably as a tech specialist but it's a lot cheaper. You can use the built-in webcams on laptops. You could get external webcams, cheap ones for $50-$60, and have multiple streams coming out in one place. So it's kind of what I would try. What do you think, Rushton?
Well, I actually nothing to add to that.
Okay.
I know some teachers who are using OBS and really, really like it. There are people who are really into using video in different ways. The goal is to be able to take the work they do in video up a few notches. Eric Cross in San Diego, style points to him for that. Judith notes that that's a good use of some of that 10 grand that Brian is asking about. Yeah. So yeah, like anything else, I shy away from really expensive stuff for classrooms, in part because I believe that there are really good free and low cost alternatives. Almost always there are. And furthermore, there is a certain opportunity you have to teach kids about, coming up with something clever when you don't want to spend, $1,000 on something like this.
Yeah.
So that's completely in sync with my thinking on it.
Yeah.
Speaking of being in sync, if we're going to be in sync with time, I'm going to need to wind this bad boy down. Apologies for that. But those of you who stick around, if there was a question you were waiting on that we didn't get to, just hang out once we finish the recording, and we will talk to you. We hope that you are doing the things you need to be able to take care of yourself, because your students need you to be in just that place so that at the moment they're having a tough moment, and your creative response could shift their life in a really good direction. Got to be there. And so do what you need to do, right? Get a little exercise, get sleep, eat the right things, and whatever works. You might need a chai tea latte, which is redundant. You might need a chai latte as a part of keeping yourself in good shape. And if so, you can actually sign up for the newsletter. Right there. And even if you are already on the newsletter, just put in the comments, already on, just hoping to win some caffeine. Feel free to let me know. I'd like to give away a Starbucks card every week. So, it's not that tons of people enter. So why not do it? Make it happen. All right. The newsletter itself, lots of cool things to watch or to read or to try, cool projects we've got going on, things that I've heard about that I think you ought to know about. I've essentially gathered a bunch of stuff so that you don't have to go to the trouble. No, you're welcome. All right. Additionally, I have a blog called Inspiring Improvement. I hope you'll give that a look at rushtonh.com, rushtonh.com. I've written some books. I hope that you'll give them a look. How to become a better teacher, how to make your school a better place for everybody, and as leaders, how to use tech to inspire your people. So feel free to give these a look and stay in touch with me about them if you have any questions at all. Talk to us about practicaledtech.com and the weekly newsletter.
So practicaledtech.com is the offshoot of freetechforteachers.com. It's where I do a whole lot of courses and one-off webinars. And I have a free handbook, 64-page PDF of all of my favorite tools with some tutorials and ideas for using some of my favorite tools in your classroom. Yeah, it's free. Just sign up for my newsletter, practicaledtech.com/weekly-newsletter, and you'll get it. You can also go to my YouTube channel, which is on the next slide. And
sorry, Richard, I was distracted by the fact that the captioning got practicaledtech.com as pretzelandtake.com, which I thought
that's me. That's because I talk wicked fast sometimes. As a Northern New Englander, I tend to get excited and talk wicked fast. I got to slow it down.
Okay.
My YouTube channel has 30,000 people watching me do little things like how to share a Google Doc with your whole group. No, well, yes, actually, that is what I do sometimes. But all kinds of things. If you got a question, I've probably made a video about it at some point, somewhere along the way. Send me an email, richard@burn.media. I do answer all of my emails eventually. Likewise, my Twitter, I do usually reply to most of my tweets as well. And thank you so much, Kathy, for that. We try to make it fun. Sometimes we talk too fast and you can't hear us, but we try to make it fun. So thank you, Kathy.
Hopefully you do better than the captioning system. All good there, but still, captioning system better than not having a captioning system. I hope that you have gotten something useful out of this, that you've had a little bit of fun along the way. Richard and I, are kind of in that, like, we're gonna have fun. Hopefully everybody are just like getting on the boat with us for that. But if you have questions, let us know. You can go to nextvista.org/contact and put your question in there, and we will put it in the lineup and try to get to it as quickly as we can. We thank you for joining us. We hope that you are going to have like this really, really cool afternoon, evening, rest of your Thursday, Friday weekend, things like that. And we look forward to seeing you next week.